we got some more Panther things to talk about, man. We got some family issues at home, man. We got some, you know what I'm saying, some internal strife, if you will, you know what I'm saying, between two of our favorite uncles, bro. But I can't say I'm surprised though. Like, what were your thoughts when you saw the initial tweet from Steve Smith?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you pointed out, you can tell it's been tension between Cam and Steve Smith from years, and both those guys are eerily similar. So it's so crazy. They're so similar, and I feel like one day they can just have a nice laugh about this situation. Honestly, just have a sit down, a nice laugh because they're so similar. Both alphas, both guys that don't take no BS for nobody, both guys that love to win, both guys that hate losing. Come on, man. I personally I feel like this shouldn't be no civil war. Shouldn't be a civil war between Panthers Twitter. Obviously, it will be, but um, me, I'm not gonna lose no sleep over it. I feel like these guys can have a sit down, a talk on it. Could Cam worded this better? Yes, absolutely, 100%.
And
His
I'm sorry, and just for those who aren't aware of what we're talking about, Cam Newton was on a podcast during Super Bowl Media Week with Travis Hunter, and he said some things about the Panthers locker room that weren't taken as well. He regarded the Carolina Panthers as losers before he came into the locker room that didn't know how to win. Which, to be fair to Cam, the team was 2-14, and you hadn't been to the playoffs in 2008. So I gotta shoot him some bell in that. But like Cam said, but like like I said, the wording of this could have been better. Steve Smith took offense to this. So did some other Panthers. Charles Johnson as well took offense to this. Um, and so now Steve Smith then came out, tweeted out his displeasure with Cam's statement and how he's been talking about the franchise. But there are still some things that some hypocrisy going on with some of that is coming from Smitty's side. But we'll talk.
and obviously it has to stem back from um for about a few years now since Cam got released the first time. Go to Bank. If you're anybody go to any Panthers game recently, go to Bank America Stadium. Look around the stadium. What do you see? Where's number one at?
Well, I I
Okay.
mean I mean what else do you see? You see a bunch of opposing teams' jerseys in the stadium.
Yeah.
Like that's the culture that is in that building right now because you're kind of a bunch of losers as of right until proven otherwise. If you ain't a winner, then you got to be something. And you know what I'm saying?
And then and to bring it back to the 2010 year, like seventh grade was I think it was seven or eighth grade me or whatever. We watched every game of that year, and yeah, it was piss poor. There was a bunch of losers. I mean, there was no effort out there. It was the worst offense there is, and then the 2023 team outdid them. Yo, that looked way worse. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, um, hell, we lost Julius Peppers because he wanted to win. We lost to the Chicago Bears because he wanted, or the Bears or Packers, one of them teams. I think it was the Bears first. Yeah, we lost Julius Peppers for that. And then C. Smith, it's documented, brother. It's there. You got to talk about that. You requested a trade that same year. You knew Cam Newton was coming in too. You knew Cam was coming in. You still wanted to be traded because you wanted to go win. Which I ain't faulting you for that. Because that team's piss poor. I don't blame. I get both sides. Honestly, I get both sides. Because Steve Smith, at that time, Steve Smith was the man. After especially with his guy Jake Delhomme, he fell off a couple years before that. That was Steve Smith's team. That was Steve Smith and Julius Peppers' team. You lost Julius Peppers that year, so Steve Smith was like, "Hell, this is my team." And you coming in calling me losers? Like, come on, bro. The Alpha and Steve Smith, of course, he's gonna take offense to that, but at the same time, he could have worded that better. Um, and honestly, us as Panthers fans, we're blessed. We should be thankful for that season because without him, we wouldn't have got Ace Boogie, best quarterback in our franchise history. So I mean,
Look,
you know,
but like you said though, bro. Like there's like you said, that weird tension that's always existed between Cam and Steve Smith. I mean, look, those guys were in two different stages of their career. And like you said, I have no issue with Steve Smith wanting to go win elsewhere, and I think he made the right decision for his career. And I mean, and it worked out for us as well because we then started to ascend in the years after his, after his departure. So I mean, no harm, no foul there. Um, but the reality is about this Panthers franchise is that like we're having these arguments because we haven't been a consistent franchise, because we haven't been able to figure out how to consistently build teams, because we wasted talent, great talent. We wasted talent such as Cam Newton. We wasted talent such as Luke Kuechly. We wasted talent such as Christian McCaffrey. Like these are all the players that we have wasted that are all going to potentially be Hall of Famers. But this is a slew of potential Hall of Fame talent that's never won a championship here in this franchise. So ultimately, it's much to do about nothing for me. I mean, I understand taking offense to it as somebody that was on. If you're somebody that was on that team, but obviously though, Steve Smith, we're not calling you. I don't think he's regarding to you as a loser. Charles Johnson, I don't think he's regarding you as a loser. But that franchise has some losing ways about it. And the greatest era of Panthers football just so happens to be with number one at the helm, even with all the greatness of Steve Smith and all these other guys. Number one being at the helm ushered in the greatest era of Panthers football with consistent division titles, winning back-to-back division titles for the first time in the division's history. You know what I'm saying? Back-to-back playoff appearances, something this franchise had never done prior to Cam Newton being there. So yes, Cam Newton does have a right to say, y'all was some losing, you know what I'm saying, before I got here. Because I gave you the winningest era of your franchise history. Cut it out, man. Like, I mean, like, we going to talk about it. And, one ain't even, what's crazy is Cam ain't even my favorite Panther of all time. It's Steve Smith is my favorite Panther of all time. But we going to talk about it, and let's really talk about it. And for those Charles Johnson that said they have Cam stories, man, talk about it. If you got something to say, put it out there. I don't want to hear the pump faking, dog. If this is all it took, a clip that was taken out of context, and this is probably my biggest issue, now I'm gonna let you go. For a clip that was taken out of context that happened 4 days prior before y'all ever got y'all hands on it, if your old ass can hop on a Zoom call and figure that damn shit out before I get pissed off, like, bro, cut it out, dog. If you got a story, tell it or shut the hell up. I ain't trying to hear all this, man. Y'all got all these stories from 10 years ago, but now all of a sudden, now because somebody pissed you off, now you want to say it. Is it smoke or is it not? If not, then shut up and move on, bro. We ain't doing this, dog. I ain't doing this with y'all this offseason, dog.
Hey, or you sound like a damn principal or something, man. One of them hood principals. Y'all had this. Y'all haven't figured out by by the time I wake up in the morning. Y'all haven't figured out.
You gotta sit the family down sometimes and just be like, dog, look, man, either we gonna squabble or not, bro. What we doing, man?
Yeah. Matter of fact, you like that one uncle. Hey, y'all have this shit figured out. And that's what they need to have it do. They need to have it figured out. Have this figured out. Y'all two of the best of the franchise. Y'all never gonna play a snap again. Come on. You know what it was. Everybody know what it was then. There was piss poor. Y'all was hot crap. You had 2 good years with Cam. 2013, I don't know what happened. You left out. They left. They got rid of you. I don't know. But y'all had great years together. Look, man. And then the fan base, please cut it out, man. Stop pretending like Cam was not the best thing that walked through Charlotte. Cut it out.
And,
You can don't lie to yourself.
And this is where I hate when the family feuds, bro, because now there are people that are now willing to pump their chest out and make very dumbass statements and just loud and proud about it because they're going to bat for that favorite player, bro. I said, this is what I didn't want. I didn't want this. You know what I'm saying? Because if that's what you're gonna say today, say it for the rest of the time. I don't need to hear you say, "Oh man, Cam was one of the greatest." Like, no. Stay on the other side with it. If this is what it took for you to say those things, then stay there, bro. I don't really want to hear these very dumb, baseless debates about who did what for who, and I get right. I watched all those teams very vividly. And Steve Smith, I'll give Steve Smith the credit. one of the greatest receivers in terms of he's been one of the rare cases where a singular player at a position that is dependent upon somebody getting him the ball, he dominated games at times in the Panthers uniform. Cam Newton being at that position that has the ability to dominate the game, he dominated the game at times in Carolina. I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing the back and forth with y'all about who's greater, who's this, because one's an MVP. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what y'all want to do with that, but
he got an MVP with like the worst receiver. And again, we talked on this. Look at the receiving core that Cam won the MVP on. The loser mentality was still there, but Cam wanted to win. Because that front office at that time, they make no effort to build anything, not even a smidge of a great offense around Cam Newton. Nothing. No line, nothing. They just got duct tape, put it out there. Here, Cam, here you go. So that's the thing. The Panthers do have a losing mentality.
That's why we're picking the top 10 again. We're literally facing repercussions of what years of losing does to our franchise, years of bad decision making does to our franchise, and now this is where we're at.
It starts with for one. No offense to you, Teddy, but you got rid of the best quarterback in our franchise history for Teddy Bridgewater. You brought in a coach that has no NFL experience whatsoever and had success in the Big 12. He turned around Temple. He only won the Texas Bowl at Baylor. And you set them out there, all right, good, let's run the franchise. Set this team back a couple more years. Went on a press conference and said, oh man, I tell my guys all the time, it took Jay-Z 7 years. Disrespected Hove. 7 years. It's gonna take 7 years to turn something around, be an overnight sensation. This needed to be said. Y'all are some losers. We are. What moves are we gonna do? We finally addressed it. I'm glad, and my bad, this is my last thing. I'm glad that we addressed the O-line like we did. Built the O-line up. Finally. Because we damn sure didn't do it in the 2010s. We damn sure didn't do it for one. We ain't do none of that. I'm glad we have the common sense. Hey, we do need receivers. We do need help. You know what I'm saying? We do need weapons. But then you sacrifice your whole defense. You got rid of a good defense that was going on last year. And then we had the worst defenses of the years of all time in franchise history. This is a mentality that needs to change. Y'all need to hear this. Y'all disrespected the man for years. So yeah, I'm glad he called y'all some losers.
And that was an uncomfortable conversation with Jim Dropper Sports. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That is what it is.